All right, we're back. Welcome to We Called It. And Phil is not here today. Instead of him, we have Anthony Sardelli, our cousin, our league leading 5-1 fantasy football family team or family fantasy league. Well, he's winning right now, except for he did not win this past week. So,
I thought
Anthony,
this
how's it
wasn't gonna.
going?
I thought this wasn't gonna be a topic, but you know what? I felt bad for my cousin, my cooler older cousin. He deserves a win. He needs to get back to 500. So I let my cousin right over here. I don't know which direction it's gonna be in the post, but I let him win. Puka Nacua can't put up 50 points every week, and Odunze coming off that bye week, kind of sleeping. It
Yep.
hurt. It hurt, but there goes the undefeated record. All things are too good to be true.
Well, let me tell you, he really did have to let me win because neither of us did really well. But I think I won by a few points. Didn't even crack 100 PPR league. Pretty embarrassing.
2 touchdowns from your team and you win. When you told me that, you're like, yeah, if it makes you feel any better. I'm like, no, it doesn't make me feel any much better about myself. But no, there's nothing I could have done. That 14-man league, it gets a little tough
A
trying to
little
find
dicey.
guys on the waivers.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I mean, if anyone else is surprised that Phil's not here, we're not. No. His wife had a baby. I believe it was yesterday. So he's definitely preoccupied. But we're going to do our best here. Talk a little bit about week 6 and then a little bit about what's coming on later this week. We're Browns fans. Let's start with the low hanging fruit, the obvious stuff, and the hardest team to watch right now. And that is the Cleveland Browns offense. Man, Dylan Gabriel, 52 passes. He did crack 200 yards this week. Awesome. Except for that was a really, really rough game to watch. So, Anthony, what are your thoughts? Dylan Gabriel, he's a guy, right? Going to be there for more than 3 or 4 games, going to last longer than Flacco, at least for the Browns this year.
Hard to say. I keep making the joke that it's like, I can't wait for Watson to come back. All you guys are hating on him. I can't wait to see him come back. I have no expectations for any quarterback. You could throw anybody behind this offense right now. And it could be a mix of things. It could be play calling. It could be whatever. But you have a really dinged up offensive line, and you have the worst receiving core, I think, in the history of the NFL. Like,
Ouch.
I hate everybody catching the ball. Like, Njoku's our best receiver, and that's
Was our
not saying
best.
much. Yeah, that's not saying much for a guy that used to drop everything like 2 or 3 years ago. It's like it's a really hard thing to watch because I think going into this year, I don't know why Browns fans are always delusional. I think if your expectations were for this offense to be anything, you were just sadly mistaken. Like I expected the run game might have been okay. Judkins, really good rookie. Phil, who's not here this week, just gonna throw it in there. He expects the Browns to win this week coming up. Um, Judkins, they have 130 yards plus this week. Don't know if that's gonna happen, but I think against the Dolphins, who are also a struggling team with a head coach on the hot seat, Mike McDaniels. Shout out to Mike McDaniels, who's probably going to get fired this year. I think
So,
I think he can go back to being an offensive coordinator, but I don't know. Head coach, I don't know if he's right for that spot.
yeah, I've talked about this with Phil and he's not happy about it, but I've said, need nerds as the coordinators. You need someone comes up tricky game plan, someone who can see something, from defenses, exploit weaknesses that someone else just does not have. But I think they work best as coordinators. And, just look at Detroit, man. Dan Campbell, he is just nothing but intensity. He gets his team up. His team plays for him. Mike Vrabel, kind of same thing. But then you have those guys really only work good if you have the coordinators to back it up. You need good game plans. You need a little bit more follow through as well. We'll get a little bit more into that Browns Dolphins game later. But the question is now, Dylan Gabriel, realistically, I promise this is the last we'll talk about him. But he's had 2 games. He played against Brian Flores and the Minnesota Vikings, who has just made a career off of making young quarterbacks look bad. That was over in Europe, in London. So travel there, travel back. I don't know. We talked about last week. I'm not sure why the Browns didn't take the bye week. Coming back, you have a young rookie, but he hasn't had like a whole week of prep. And then, where does he go? He goes to Pittsburgh. Browns quarterbacks have complete. I mean, even the more experienced ones have looked bad. We do not do well in Pittsburgh, except for Baker that one playoff game. So this is his first real week of complete prep. And you hit it. I mean, we don't have a line. I mean, our receivers are actually dropping the ball or tossing it into the hands of the defenders at some points. But this is his first real week to get the prep, get ready, and have go out there and play an exploitable defense, a defense that cannot stop the run, and that's the only thing we can do. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what Gabriel can do, but I'll tell you, if we get another, showing where, hey, I'm getting rid of the ball first, second look, hanging on, if I'm hanging on to it, if anything's going downfield, it's incatchable. If we see that, it will not be long. I mean, you already have a bunch of Shador fans, chanting for him, but I just don't know, exactly how long you stick, with this guy. Cause I mean, just hasn't shown you yet. I know, talking about a rookie being in his second week and saying he's not it, but maybe the Browns whole team just isn't it.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing going into this week. Like one of my buddies was like, "Oh, Browns are gonna win. Browns are gonna win." I'm like, "Don't be a delusional Browns fan." I'm like, "Steelers are coming off a bye week. We're coming back from London after a tough game that we could have
Hmm.
won. It was a dogfight. Like it wasn't a shootout or anything. It was a dogfight. It was a game fought in the trenches, and we came up short. We got a rookie quarterback in his second game ever against the Steelers defense that was supposed to be what the Browns defense is, like a world beating defense. And yeah, they showed up. They were ready to play. And I don't know. For me, Dylan Gabriel, like the Browns are playing this guy because you drafted him higher than Shadur, and he had the better last preseason game than what Shadur did. They went off that. Stefanski's kind of hard headed. He's like he's also being told what to do by upper management and ownership. It's probably like give this guy the chance first. If he doesn't succeed, you see what you got. Like that's all the Browns are doing this year. They're seeing
Hmm.
what they got. You really hope that this defense can stay healthy into next year, and maybe Shadur, Dylan Gabriel are the answer after this year. But like to me, it's just go out, have this guy throw balls to receivers that can't catch, and see if they're good passes. Like make your judgment off that. But like everyone thought like, oh Flacco, get him out or whatever. It's like that dude, he was throwing good balls. It's not like what else can you want from the guy? He can't make miracles happen. So I don't know. I'm I haven't watched much of the Browns this year as a Browns fan. That's all you need to know about the Browns offense. There's nothing to watch on the offensive side of the ball. It's bad.
I think we talked about for longer than the Browns offense certainly deserve. Just a few other thoughts from week 6. And you know, something little just on last night, but looked pretty interesting. Like, what the heck is going on with the Buffalo Bills? So, what team are we getting out there? Josh Allen, he, you know, can make all the plays in the world, but they just seem like, they have James Cook. If they don't have a run game, if they go away from that, it just seems like they just don't have that, it receiver, that go-to guy. Dalton Kincaid was out, but what has Dalton Kincaid really done? I mean, honestly, he's been pretty replaceable with even like Dawson Knox there. There's Khalil Shakir, that Keon Coleman, but you have all these people, but really just not much else. That Atlanta defense, the same one that gave up 30 points to Bryce Young just a few weeks ago, same one that gave up, I think, was it over 30 or 27 to Marcus Mariota and the Washington Commanders just a few weeks ago. they completely shut down the Buffalo Bills. And so they're just looking a little rough. I mean, what do you make of that? Like, is this more of a, hey, is this a throwaway game from the Bills? Is this, hey, the Falcons are kind of starting to get right? Or what do you make of it?
I think the Bills, it's more shocking to me for the Bills because they're supposed to be a Super Bowl contending team. They're supposed to be, that team that loses to the Chiefs in the AFC North Championship. Or the AFC Championship. I don't know. It was a shocking game because I mean, it was the same thing for the Steelers. Atlanta came off a bye week. They were ready to play and they looked fresh. They looked good. Bijan and Drake London were the entire offense. They tore through a Bills defense that's supposed to be formidable. They haven't shown us that at all this season, like in any game. Like the Patriots kind of steamrolled them on defense. Like it's ugly. Like you got
Hmm.
James Cook. He's pretty much your only threat in the receiving and run game. I mean, Josh Allen can run it, but I don't see their receivers as like anybody is that go-to guy. You got
Hmm.
Kincaid, but he's not a go-to guy. He's a tight end that's like I don't even know if he's a top 5, top 10 tight end right now.
Well, I mean,
And
above average, he's playable, but I mean, that's really it.
it makes you wonder about, the whole letting Diggs go, not really replacing him. Like Amari Cooper was there for a little bit. You don't even like even an Amari Cooper would be somewhat helpful as like a guy that can just do some cool stuff one on one. It just Shakir to me and Coleman to me are not those guys. They're more speedy. They're more you know like route running, speedy guys. Like they're not like dominant Puka Nacua,
Hmm.
Egbuka JSN kind of guys that can just turn it on whenever. I
Hmm.
don't know. Josh Allen, he was bound to have a year like this where he's gonna regress, but I think it's more maybe it's time for this coaching staff to go. Like it's kind of crazy to say, but teams like this that have had that, Super Bowl kind of team,
Hmm.
they they make turnarounds with their coaching staff because it's like, hey, you've had your opportunities with the team that could win it all. Maybe we need to go in a different direction. So I
Let's
don't
see.
know.
Well, so they are 4-2, but their last three wins were against they're 0-2 in their last two. Just lost to the Falcons. They lost a close one to the interdivision rival Patriots, but then they played a tough game against the Bills. They played a tough or a closer game than probably should have been against the Dolphins. And the only time they really put a beat down on anyone, it was the Jets. And I don't even know if you call that a real football team right now. So interesting to see. I really, I still don't know what to make of the Falcons. I don't know if this offense is good. I know Bijan and Drake London. Now, those guys are good. I still think it's out on Michael Penix. I mean, they really just stopped the Bills completely
Yeah.
during that game. It was really more like their defense and then, Bijan just running all over them. But I don't know when the game comes down to it and like Penix has to throw it. I just don't know if he's the guy.
Yeah. Penix, I was thinking about that too. Like I kind of wanted to ask one of my buddies who's a Falcons fan, like, what do you think about Penix? Like, is he your guy or is he just a guy that can get it to your weapons and keep the ball safe? To me, it kind of seems like he's that right now, and he could develop into something better over time. Like he's like a poor man's Jordan Love. Like I don't know. I don't know how to put it. I don't know.
Well, you know what he's definitely not, or he might not have it, but you know who definitely does? The next guy we're going to talk about, Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle is the best player in the NFL over the last 2 weeks. And his last two lines, 30 carries for 183 yards. I think he also added like I don't know, 5 or 6 carries for 50 yards as well. He had topped over 200 yards there last week, 23 carries, 206 yards, and completely just single handedly running this Panthers offense. I say single handedly because there really is not much else out there. I like Tedoroa McMillan. He just because Bryce Young getting in the ball, you're going to get mixed results. He had 2 touchdowns this past weekend. He also only had 3 catches, and I think it was like I don't know, 20 or 30 yards. Like there, not much else there besides the touchdowns. Touchdowns are awesome, but that was all Rico Dowdle. Now, this guy was completely thrown away by the Dallas Cowboys. I know Javonte Williams has looked good, but he was also overlooked by every single team. I think he was given like a $2 or $4 million like contract. He was like clearly like, hey, you're getting backup money here. We got Chuba, man. Just watch this guy go. And man, he's had 2 games, he's had 2 opportunities, and he has completely owned it. So, number one, I just love seeing these guys just come up out of nowhere. You have an opportunity, completely kill it. Do you think that Rico Dowdle is the best player in the NFL?
Hey, for 2 weeks, statistically, yes. Hey, revenge game against the Cowboys. You knew he was going to do something special after that week he had against the Dolphins, where the Dolphins are in complete disarray on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know. To me, Carolina is a weird team. I want them to do good. I like Carolina because of the pieces. Like I like that comeback story, like that we were a bad team now and we're in a division that we could make like a stir. And I don't know, they're just that weird team where they beat the Cowboys. You kind of seen that coming. The Cowboys are just that team that chokes games against bad teams and then rises up against good teams. I kind of thought they were going to win this week. I was a little bit surprised that they did just because I'm like, I think they're going to win. They're going to lose now. But Rico Dowdle, I think he's going to come back down to earth soon. I don't know who they play this week. I didn't look at that one.
They played the Jets, so he doesn't have to come back down.
Yeah, never mind. He might have another good week. But as soon as you see him, as soon as you see these guys go up against a decent defense, expect him to have a little bit of a drop off. I like the guy. I think he's good, but I don't know. Carolina's a weird team. Like I think if they keep playing good football, they can finish around 10 wins and maybe make a wild card spot. But
Yeah, it's just a weird division that they're in. I mean, because you have the Buccaneers that are just rolling. You have the Falcons that are losing by 30 or beating one of the best teams in the NFL. And the Saints, I actually don't hate the Saints. Spencer Rattler, he's actually looking like a good quarterback. You just wouldn't know it because he's on the Saints, and who cares about a mediocre team out there? But no, love to see the Rico Dowdle story, but just fun to watch. No, he's not the best player in the NFL.
now the best player is hurt, and it's Puka Nacua.
By the way, we talked about it last week, but I absolutely love the fact that Matt Stafford was a QB for the 2 best wide receiver seasons of all time. It was the Calvin Johnson one where he almost got 2,000 yards, and then it was a Cooper Cup like triple crown year where he was the offensive player of the year. And honestly, before this injury, Puka was going there. I mean, he was
Dude,
on pace for like 2,200 yards. And I love watching Puka out there. He's just like, hey, I'm not the fastest, but I got great hands. I got sharp routes, and I will run people over and turn 15 yards into 35. It's absolutely love it.
he's incredible. I don't know how he does it, but it's Stafford, man. Stafford's the man. And watch Devontae Adams. I think he'll have the same kind of success that Pickens is having, where it's like, all right, it's my time to shine. They need someone to step up in that 2 spot, but I think they'll be all right. I think the Rams will still be okay.
Well, now we are going to talk about probably the best player in the NFL. But for next week, when we're back here talking about these recaps, I think that the next story we're going to be talking about is look at that. The Chiefs are doing Chiefs things. So Pat Mahomes has been rolling. He's definitely looked good. And, really that like the running that he's done has opened it up because they really don't have anything. Kareem Hunt yet. Kareem Hunt looks good 10 yards out, like pounding it into, sneaking in some like touchdowns, but he's not, explosive anywhere near as explosive. He's not breaking off anything big. Pacheco, he's just such like an enigma to me. He looks like he's fast. He feels like he's like chopping his legs a ton, but I don't feel like he's getting anywhere. I think he's more like aggressive plotter than anything at this point. I do like their running back, but really their running game has been Pat Mahomes. but he has been slinging it. He's been looking good. He's been moving their offense, but most importantly, they finally get back Rashee Rice. So this is just that guy. Juju Smith-Schuster has done a great job of sort of taking over for, Rashee Rice and like making this offense playable. But you're going from a body out there to, you know, I hate to say all pro, receiver, but something up there. It's like their version of Puka Nacua. They're currently 3-3, and just coming off beating what some people had power ranked as the best team in the NFL in the Detroit Lions. Yes, it was at Kansas City. Detroit does not travel well. But I think this is kind of where we begin to see it's like, hey guys, oh yeah, Pat Mahomes is doing that MVP caliber thing, and everyone loves Baker Mayfield. Nobody wants to give him an MVP, and I think this is where you start seeing just boom, I'll start hearing about Travis Kelce and whoever he's dating or engaged to. But I think this is the start of Chiefs season. The AFC is just too open right now, and who doesn't love a MVP caliber quarterback?
Yeah, I agree. It's just, I said it. I'm like, with the Ravens missing Lamar and completely disappearing, Burrow's out. The AFC North is pretty much just the Steelers to grab, and it's not like Rodgers is having an MVP type season. He's been good, but a lot of that run game is what helps that team out. Buffalo, what's going on there? New England might win that division. Who knows? The AFC is up for grabs, and it's just like all you really got then is Herbert, and he's all right. The Broncos are a good team, but it's not the Bo Nix show. So it's Mahomes time. It really does feel like that. They're going to play the Raiders this week. That's feels like a lock win. It's the defense. You know how Spagnuolo runs that defense. They start off slow, and then as the
They'll get
season
there.
goes on, they're the Super Bowl caliber defense with weapons that you've never even heard of. So you just need Chris Jones to not take plays off, and I think you'll be all right. But
Man, and I was really excited to pick the Chiefs until I saw it was like minus 11.5.
yeah,
But
11.5 is just a little crazy for me because the Chiefs at the same time, they're going to turn it on. They're really not going to try to blow teams out if they don't have to. Like, and if you give them the opportunity, they'll take it, but they're not really going to try. Like you said, they do feel like a run first team, and they have been for the last couple of seasons. Getting Rashee Rice back at things, you'll see him get some receptions, but they'll probably run him some jet sweeps and get him involved that way. And yeah, it just feels like they're a team that is more run centric right now, even with Pacheco and Hunt just kind of being middle of the road running backs right now. I mean,
I'd say middle of the road. That's
Pacheco
it's a generous
statistically,
road.
has been just kind of, and
Yeah. Yep.
it really has been like Mahomes scrambling because you have to respect him in that receiving game. It doesn't even, dude, they've had nobody back there. Just Juju Smith is the number one, and you still have to respect them. It's
Hey,
just, the
Hollywood
Andrew.
Brown is a player.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been good too. It is that time of the season where it's week 7. Chiefs about to turn it on, baby. It's Chief Nation. But yeah, it does suck as like someone who, we went through the Tom Brady era, is the Patrick Mahomes era. It's inevitable. It's happening. You're gonna see it happen.
Yep.
They're gonna
Let's
make the playoffs, and
keep it going. I'm just happy it's not Jalen Hurts era, honestly. He's hard to watch.
yeah, I don't blame. Like, if we're gonna just jump right into the Eagles thing, I don't blame a lot of it on Jalen Hurts. I just blame it on like the way the Eagles want to play football. They want to play that tush push.
I think their offensive coordinator, whoever it is, just get rid of him now. It's been rough. There's too many weapons on there to not get an offense going, like regularly not get an offense going.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
it's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint what it is, but I mean, yeah, you have two really, really fantastic receivers in Saquon and Dallas Goedert, who's been tearing it up. Like,
Dallas
just
Goddard's been their offensive MVP.
use them, use them. But yeah, no, that's a topic for another day.
All right. Well, speaking of topics here, so Phil did want me to talk about some injury things. And, he wanted me to talk about how come we're getting more of these like overuse injuries. You're seeing like more like non-contact. You see more Achilles than you ever have. You're seeing ACLs, you're seeing these hamstring pulls and stuff. And why those are essentially more causing more injuries, more long-term time out than, hey, in the early 2000s, you were just getting jacked up by Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher, and those guys would get completely destroyed, and you'd have these injuries with that, but then people would come back a lot quicker. So it's pretty simple. That one it more goes to number one, the development of the game is you don't see fullbacks anymore. Tight ends are essentially glorified wide receivers. And you don't even see like a 4-3 or a 3-4 defense. The base defense now is a nickel. It is all about speed. And they've just found that the guys like, Xavier Worthy, Tyreek Hill is a game changer. They tried it with like Darius Hayward, like just like pure speed. But McDaniels, he scored 70 his first year there when he was just like, listen, we're going just all speed all the time. And you've just been progressively seeing more of that. You've seen, more spread. And then, so you're getting less of these like close impact just because that's the way that the game's developing. But the other thing that you're seeing, and this is more like general with sports than specifically with football, but you're seeing a lot more overuse injuries in younger athletes. Uh, the most obvious example is the highest percentage of Tommy John injuries. That's the elbow injury to pitchers. It's like, overuse when you're trying to put, too much spin and, pitch in, 100 times or 100 pitches a game versus, when you're younger, 50, 60. It's that kids, when they are in high school and they start looking like elite talent, like, oh, hey, this kid can go on to the next level or even the next level after that. They're specializing. They're specializing in sports. You're playing year-round baseball. You're playing fall ball. You're playing spring ball, and obviously all summer. For basketball, you got AAU. You got different travel. You got school, which is 6 months out of the year. But same thing with football. But back in the day, kids didn't do that. Kids were if you were a good athlete. LeBron James. Oh, he played. I mean, he could have played. Or he was a Mr. Ball. Mr. Ohio football at one point. Um, you see them play these different sports and going from football, which is a lot of short burst, acceleration, sprinting, resting. Basketball, you go to more conditioning, but lateral movement, less actual sprinting, more jumping. To baseball, which is pretty much fun. Just look at like Bartolo Colon, the David Wells. You can be the Josh Naylor. You can be a professional athlete there and not have that athletic build. Point being, it's all different types of muscle usage. You don't realize it, but you're actually resting those baseline like balancing muscles, not necessarily like the large muscle groups like pecs, shoulders, quads, glutes, calves, but just the more deeper intrinsic muscles. And you're just getting more balance, getting more rest throughout the year. And you're just not seeing that anymore. LeBron James, I think he spends like over $1 million a year just on, everything from like cryotherapy to like physiotherapy to, keeping his body in shape, the right diet. You look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady was in better shape in his, mid 40s than he was when he came into the league. Then you see the other guys like DK Metcalf. It's like, oh, hey, how did you get in great shape over the offseason? He's like, oh, it's awesome. I stopped eating like cupcakes and Skittles, and man, did I eat a lot of Skittles. But there's certainly different levels of it. Giving your body like that actual like rest recovery, you just don't see it as much. So you're getting these so many of these like ACLs, these hammies, just because it's just these common overuse things that you're seeing. Now, of course, there's like the traumatic injuries and everything, but you're just not seeing look at Cam Scadaboo out there. I mean, how often are you seeing like a new bruising like back come into the league? Not
Right.
very often, and that's the main reason. Cam Scadaboo. See how much the NFL values him. He was what round? Fifth, sixth rounder. He was a day three running back.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting to me. If you don't care about that nerd talk, then too bad, you can skip it. By the way, shout out Mike Schilling, who has commented on this. That's my grade school best friend from St. John Bosco, sixth to eighth grade. So if you are actually listening to this, thank you. You don't need to be. You're wasting your time, but I appreciate it.
Shout out Bears. No, yeah, just to touch on it, I definitely don't know the scientific reasoning behind a lot of it, but like even just in the NFL, the way they've tried to reduce head injuries and making like getting rid of hip tackles and just precautionary things like that, kind of the NFL, a lot of people have turned away from it because it's less of that hard hitting contact sport that they used to love. It a lot of that, like, just if anybody that's ever played a sport, whether it be football or soccer, basketball, whatever, football is, yeah, like you said, that short burst, like a lot of cutting, a lot of like weird stepping when you're blocking on a line or trying to break through a block. You got to worry about the guy next to you not falling into you. There's
Hmm.
these 300-pound people. The movements have become completely different from what it was back in the day. So the injuries now, like when there's these open field plays happening where a quarterback goes to slide, or a running back is just can't be tackled, like hip tackled, guys have to do things that they're not really used to, or like these weird movements that weren't movements back in the day, where back in the day it was just run full speed, get the yards. Now it's worry about your body, worry about your head, and
Hmm.
it's weird movements, but people are they're not necessarily tearing their ACL on that play or their Achilles, but that next play they go to take that step and their leg is like, or their foot is just not used to it, and it's this non-contact injury that just
Hmm.
looks weird because you're worried about all these like head injury, tackle, weird like hits. So I don't know, the just playing
Yeah,
the
no, no, no.
amount of football that I played.
Little roundabout, but yeah, I agree. You just have to like change it up with based on, as soon as you start getting out of like the habits and the things that you've done since, a teenager, you definitely put just more stressors in your body. Doesn't like your body likes consistency. So consistency and rest. Those are the two things you need as an athlete.
Yeah, and then the rest, like in the NFL, a lot of people are like, well, they don't play enough in the preseason. And that I do think that stuff ultimately matters when you're just going
Yeah.
in week one playing full contact, ready to go football, and it's 110% game speed. It does matter. It's like anything. It's like when you go to work and it's you just came off of, a 3-day vacation, that and you jump into, a full day, it's not like easy. It's just, you expect it to be an easy day, and it's just you might get a hard day on a Monday and you're like, whoa, that hit me harder. And then you go home and you got no energy for the rest of your day. Just it's just the world that we live in. It's just that the new researches and studies that we have are a good thing, but they're also a bad thing. It's a
Hmm.
give and take. We're still learning, and we're still trying to up our game and figure things out.
Yeah. If you guys want more nerd talk, we can talk about guardian caps. But there's been tons of like ankle and foot injuries too. So maybe we'll
Yeah.
talk about that some other time. But I think that's enough nerd talk for now. So let's get into what we actually want to talk about. Week 7 and these games coming up here. Just gonna pop this up here. All right. So Phil, even though his wife is just gave birth, she did set up the screen here. So we'll go through the games, particularly the ones that we have picks on, and go from there. Let's get Phil's out of the way real quick. So he's got two of them.
Yeah,
Number
get him out.
one is he is picking the Cleveland Browns over the Miami Dolphins, and I don't think there's any we don't have to beat around the bush and we don't have to try to figure it out. But it's all about the Dolphins can't protect against the run. They just cannot do that. Quinshon Judkins has been the only highlight from the Browns in general. He's, I mean, just looked good, but I mean, obviously, offense has been limited elsewhere. We're coming home, first Dylan Gabriel, like actual Cleveland home start, and he is just he thinks that we're going to run all over the Dolphins. They're off. The Dolphins. The offense for the Dolphins has, definitely looked like questionable at times. They've had some big plays, like running the ball, but obviously missing Tyreek Hill, and Tua needs to get the ball out quick. So, do you agree with them? Do you think that the Browns are going to cover 3 points?
I the covering part is what worries me. It feels like a game they could win, but even the game they won against the Packers, don't get me wrong, the Packers at that time looked like an unbeatable team. Even that was really close, and we had to win it by the skin of our teeth. We probably should have won week 1 against the Bengals. That was a close game. The way the Browns are offensively, just even if Judkins has a really good game on the ground, Stefanski has a rookie quarterback in his 3rd week that he's still trying to protect, even though he did air it out 50 times last week. He's still, I think this is a game that he feels like he can win, so he's not going to try to be as liberal with the pass game. I think he is going to run it more. It's still, the Browns are a defensive team. It's just the way we are. It's a run first defensive team. In order for them to win this game, they need to shut the offense down on the Dolphins side of the ball. I just don't trust the Browns enough to cover 3 points in any game. It could be against the Jets for all I care.
No.
It's just they don't have what it takes on the offensive side of the ball. They just don't. I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope Phil knows what he's talking about. I don't hate the pick, but as a homer, I can't bet for or against the Browns. I'm just staying away from that one.
I agree. And we talked about a little earlier, me and Anthony do like to do the teasers as well. I mean, Dolphins, +9. I just can't imagine the Browns winning by double digits
No,
against anyone.
No, never.
All right. Well, let's go to your favorite pick of the week. Tell me why you like the Steelers -5.5.
Well, Flacco is the starting quarterback now for the Bengals. If you guys haven't seen or watched them last week, they hung around in that game. They made things interesting towards the end, but the Steelers are the clear favorite right now to win the AFC North, and they're coming off a pretty easy week against the Browns. Defensively, they're starting to turn it up a little bit, and I don't see why that pass rush can't get home against the non-existent Bengals offensive line. Stop the run real quick first. Just double team Jamar Chase. Don't you have to really do that. Send 5 every time. You're gonna get through with somebody.
Higgins is still out there though, man.
I don't. What was the final score last week for the Bengals game? I think they ended up still not covering. I'm pretty sure, but
no, they covered. I mean, because the line was 14.5, but they covered.
So this one's obviously a little bit closer because the Steelers they're not a team that's blowing teams out right now, and I don't expect them to blow the Bengals out, but it just feels like 5.5. It's doable. They're gonna win by like 6 or 7. They're gonna win by a touchdown. Even though it's in Cincinnati, just they're so bad defensively, and I just don't know if they can get it going offensively ever with that line. It's just it doesn't feel like it's mainly me just betting against Cincinnati because until last week they haven't covered anything, and that was that 1 week Joe Flacco magic. He did it here when he was in Cleveland. He had that good week against the Bengals, this team that he's on now, and after that, it kind of just fell off. Like, yeah, they beat the Packers, but that was a weird fluke week. So
Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. I'm picking the Steelers minus 5.5 to 5.5. Yeah, a little much, but I completely agree. So Trey Hendrickson is beat up. They say he's day to day. Who knows what that actually means? But even with him out there, that defense is still, liable. And Aaron Rodgers is not gonna, he's gonna take what the defense gives him. You saw it's the same thing that happened against the Browns. Like, I mean, you're just going to get the ball out quick. You're going to move the ball, down the field. But I do not trust anytime a quarterback, you get a new one in a new like situation. They usually, sometimes can do something or look a little decent their first week, but I always fade them the second week that they're like in a new situation. There's a little bit of like tape on them. And also like the Steelers are going to be able to get after him. So completely agree with you there. I will also be taking the Steelers.
and one
So
last thing too, what the Steelers defense has done well until last week, what they had to do well in order to win games is they took the ball away. When things are going, if things go bad, they will take the ball away. Like if they're giving up yardage, they'll find a way to take the ball away. That pass rush will get home, and Flacco loves to make mistakes. So we'll see some turnovers in that game.
Flacco certainly loves to make mistakes. So, but going on to this next game, and we actually have a little bit of a disagreement here. But we're going back out to London, and Jacksonville Jaguars will also be there because they love playing out in London. But Rams at Jags, Rams -3, but you got the Jaguars. Tell me why.
Yeah, so I got the over and the Jags in this game. Move the Jags to London first off. Move them to London. They're a London team. But no, this team looks like it is a lot better offensively this year. I know it's in London. Sometimes these games can fall flat and be really disappointing. But with the Rams, even with Puka Nacua out, I think Kyron Williams and Devontae Adams should still show up, and they should put some points up there. I think it's going to be more of like a shootout kind of game, and the Jags really need this win. They play well in London. They're more used to the atmosphere. They uh they know how to drink their tea and eat their beans for breakfast. So um I don't know. I think on the offensive side of the ball, they just, Puka Nacua was kind of carrying the Rams there for a little bit. I think I think getting 3 points here is huge. I can see this game coming down to the wire. I think all the London games have come down to the wire. There was the Dublin game
Hmm.
with the Steelers, and then the Browns Vikings game came down to the wire. I think the Jags are going to stay close in this game like they did, in every game so far this season. So getting 3 points, the Rams aren't blowing teams out, and quite frankly, they're they're having a good season, but they've been a little bit disappointing for me defensively. I thought they were going to have a way better defensive year. They've just kind of, I don't know, they've been hanging around enough to win games, and the offense to me has been kind of turning it up for them. So I expect there
Hmm.
to be a lot of points in this game, and the Jags to just cover. I don't know if they win this game, but I can see them covering 3.
Yeah. So if it was not in London, I'm probably picking the Rams here. But especially with the Jags, going over there. Yes, favorites have done really well over in Europe so far. But the games have also tended to go a little under. I think it's a little slower, like getting off the blocks there. But I am concerned with the lack of prep time and, obviously the more travel and not having Puka Nacua. I think that that offense really stalled before with it. But I do think that the Rams do just kind of play like down. I hate to say down to the opponents because the Jaguars have played really well, but I still think that especially with like Trevor Lawrence, just you get the same thing. You get a couple like really good passes, a couple just really like amazing, setups, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what on earth were you thinking with that fumble or that interception or laying on the ground on the 5 yard line, whatever it is. But I'm going with the under on this one because I just think that it's going to be they're just a little bit slower, and the Jags defense has looked good. I don't think the Rams are going to make tons of mistakes. So we'll see how that one goes. So the next one, we talked a little bit about the Eagles before, and it's just a big hey. I don't know, who's going to start for the Vikings at quarterback. I don't know which Eagles team, we're getting the one that looks like a Super Bowl caliber team, or the one that just gets completely wiped out by the Giants. So both of us had absolutely nothing on this game.
Yeah, and it's on the road. Like, you expect the Eagles to bounce back, but I don't know. That's a wait, kind of just check out what happens and see what happens kind of week for them.
Then next year we have the Patriots and the Titans. Once again, no pick. And I think it's just more so the line. The Titans have, if the Browns or Jets aren't getting the title worst team in the NFL, then the Titans are right there. I don't like, that just that's a lot of points for the Patriots. Their offense has looked good. Drake May does look interesting, but I just don't like that number there. I do like teasing the Patriots down to a -1 or a pick 'em. I do not think that they're losing this game. But besides that, we're not really touching this one.
Yeah, and this could also be kind of like a trap pick where the Titans just fired their head coach, and teams after their head coach get fired tend to play up. So you never know.
Yeah,
They get a I don't know who is the head coach now. Do they have like an interim head coach?
I have no clue. the
I'm
uh,
so
the interim
uninterested in the
head coaches.
Titans. I didn't even
Yeah,
pay attention to all I know is that they fired their head coach way too soon. So I just statistically and just like remembering back to games where head coaches are fired in the middle of the season, that next week they play up and not necessarily win that game, but they might
yeah.
cover a 7-point spread against the Patriots. So and the Titans haven't played like they've come close in a couple of games. They even won a game. So I wouldn't count them out of covering the spread, but it does feel like a absolute lock win for the Patriots, just a win, but not to
Yeah.
cover.
Mike McCoy, so previous head coach of the at the time San Diego Chargers,
And
will be
it's
manning it there.
it's a weird situation too because it's a Mike Vrabel revenge game. So
Oh
you
man.
got you got a lot of drama in a horrible, horrible football game.
Next, we got the Raiders Chiefs. So we mentioned it briefly before. -11.5. It's just a big number. The Chiefs, look good. I, Geno Smith, he'll move the ball a little bit down the field, then he'll throw a pick. That's just what he does. If I'm going to pick anything for this game, it's Geno Smith at least one interception. So
Feels like a lock.
that one's a lot. I don't even think it's even fair to talk about. I think the question is, will he throw two interceptions?
Yeah. Yeah, and the Chiefs are getting Rashee Rice back this week, and they're probably just gonna be feeling things out with that offense. So I think that is like 11.5. Anytime it's double digits in the NFL, I kind of stay away from it.
Mhm. So going to the next one, and this one has just a few different things that I absolutely, you know, love to go off of. So number one, the Panthers just came off of a emotional win, a tough one against Dallas, a lot of scoring, great, ending like game winning, like drive and field goal. But usually I like to fade teams, especially if they're like a sub 500 team or a worst team in the league that I think that comes off of a win like this, except for when you're playing the Jets. So the Jets are coming back from London. I don't like the extra travel. I also don't like the fact that Garrett Wilson, who has been their best playmaker on offense, is going to be out. He hyperextended his knee. So hyperextension is just, there could be ligamentous injury. You really don't know the severity, but that really certainly does matter. It's the difference between going on the IR or missing, 1 to 2 weeks. So the Jets have yet to win. At home against the Panthers is not a bad time to, and get that win. But I think that especially with missing like Garrett Wilson, their only real offensive weapon. I mean, Brees Hall's been, looks good too, but um, between that and I just don't think they can stop this Panthers offense. I uh, think that between Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, I don't know if they're gonna slow down at all. Sauce Gardner hasn't really been living up to expectations. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, people thought he was an elite you know top three corner in the league. I think he's still good, but I don't think he's essentially up that high. So yeah, I'm picking the Panthers. It's -1.5 here.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's the winless Jets, so yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on that. I mean, I love my Panthers, but I'll stay away from this one for now. I just can't trust them.
Yeah. So we talked a bit about the Browns. By the way, Phil loves Quinshon Judkins to get over 130 yards. I just got to mention it like one more time.
Do a ladder. That's what he's saying. Do a ladder. If you're a gambling man,
He
do a
does like
ladder.
rookie ladders. He tells us about them only when he either misses by a lot or hits them. So the other game, this is the ugly game. Don't watch it and just kind of bet on it. And that is the Saints. I'm taking them with 5.5 over the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears won a game last night that they had no business winning. Now, yes, their run game did look good. They ran all over the Commanders, but all the Commanders had to do was run the clock out, and they fumbled on a handoff from Jane Daniels to that Bill Krosky Merritt. By the way, love watching him play. Just man, that was a rough fumble.
Yeah.
But this Bears defense has looked nothing but susceptible. And Spencer Rattler has looked decent on the other side of the ball. I think that they're going to keep it close. I think that they're going to be able to at least score a bit. And if not, the Bears are going to let them back into the game because it's the Bears. The Bears just don't have any business being 5.5 point favorites against anyone. So Saints defense actually has looked decent. They have a higher like EPA against the run. If they can slow that down, force Caleb Williams to throw, I think that we're just going to get a closer game. Oddly enough, I think Caleb Williams will be the one who makes a mistake, not necessarily Spencer Rattler. I didn't think I'd be saying that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. We got a vintage DeAndre Swift game last night, but I don't see him having that crazy of a game. I just feel like 5.5 is too much for me to take the Bears, and I mean the Saints are playing better ball, so yeah, this is one I stayed away from. But I don't hate taking 5.5 points against a team that is, like you said, the Bears just they're lackluster on defense. That offense is just inconsistent. So unless Ben Johnson's got something dialed up against that crappy Saints defense, I don't know. I'm staying away.
Okay, so moving on, we don't have any picks at all again for the Giants and Broncos. Um, so we're just gonna skip that one, and we're gonna move on to
That could be a fun game though. I mean, any game right now with Jackson Dart and Scadaboo, it's got me interested as a Browns fan watching a young team like that kind of find their pieces. I mean, Malik Neighbors out, that always hurts, but they're finding ways to get that offense clicking, and a lot of it is Scadaboo. So
yeah. I
Jackson
think
Dart throws a good ball.
I did mention in our family group chat after the Thursday night games, like, man, these two, Jackson Dart and Cam Scannaboo, got me more excited, the most excited for this Giants offense since Odell Beckham caught that crazy pass as a rookie.
Yeah.
That's certainly fun to watch, but I just don't know what to make of it. I think there's too much. I could see this being a tight one. I could see the Broncos winning by 20. And
The biggest thing with this game is, the Broncos have an elite level defense. Um, I could just see them shutting it down, just absolutely shutting them down.
okay. And then next one we have the Colts and Chargers. So um, we don't have any picks. I do like teasing the Chargers up to like 7.5. Just I think that this is going to be a little bit of a closer game. The Chargers offense started to kind of, get clicking a little bit after the injuries. Their defense has just been a little bit more susceptible. And man, these Colts just are fun, man. Jonathan Taylor looks good. I love the name Indiana Jones, by the way. I love the Daniel Jones rejuvenation project. Certainly looks good over in Indianapolis, but I'm expecting some points. I'm expecting it to be a little bit closer. So I don't necessarily like the line, but I like giving the Colts some points.
Yeah, and this was my game to watch for the week, just because. Yeah, I'm not making any picks on it. I kind of, as someone who has Jonathan Taylor in a fantasy league, I want to see him have another good week. Um, don't want to see Danny Dimes stealing all the touchdowns, but we know he likes to do that. He likes to run some in, but yeah, I mean that's a big game. It's just got playoff implications on it. It could be like a tiebreaker situation late in the year. Oh, the Colts won, so now they got the tiebreaker over the Chargers. They get home field advantage, something like that. It's just it's a big game. There's a lot on it. Big AFC matchup. Both teams are kind of proving their spot their spot in the top right now. So the Colts are just kind of cruising along, man. They look like such a good football team, and I they're my surprise team of the year. I just didn't expect them to be what they are.
I keep waiting for them to just fall back down to like Daniel Jones Giants land, and it's just not happening. I
It's
mean,
not.
they look good.
But I mean, that's it, and the Colts are kind of a good example of a good system fitting a quarterback. And sometimes when you have a good offensive line, it allows for a quarterback to actually have some success, and be able to get the ball out and get time back there. When you have a team like the Giants did for Daniel Jones with no offensive line, there's a reason Barkley is doing really, really well in Philly. There's a reason he's doing really, really well in Indy. It's because they have good offensive lines. That's where when you win the battle in the trenches, you're gonna have more success. And I think that's a lot of the reason why Daniel Jones is doing better. He has a really good offensive line and really, really good weapons now too around him. So
No, can't agree more. So moving on, neither of us have a pick for the Cardinals and Packers, and honestly, I just think it's a good line. Now, I mentioned it last week, but toe injuries especially get these people that need mobility, and the uh, active positions like wide receiver, running back, quarterback. If you're Kyler Murray, so when they were like, "Oh, it's not that bad," you typically see these people out for a little longer than you expect with these toe injuries. So, and it's what they call it a midfoot sprain. So that could be that's a generic term for the public doesn't know. So, the thing is, I don't know if they're worse with Jacoby Brissett in there. And Jacoby Brissett had, I think, over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns passing, and Kyler Murray does not do that. So Marvin Harrison Jr., he had a concussion. Really, you got to peek on the protocol. The nice thing about that is that by Thursday, you typically know if he's has an honest shot to play or doesn't. But still don't know on that one versus like the Packers, who have just with the exception of the Browns game, they've just beat teams like the Cardinals. Like I think 6.5 is a good number. I'm staying away.
yeah, and I just the Cardinals with Kyler Murray or without Kyler Murray, they tend to either get a huge lead and then let teams back in, or just suck overall. To me, if I'm leaning anyway, it would definitely be towards the Packers. You know, the Cardinals are missing a lot, man. They're missing potentially their starting quarterback. They're missing Marvin Harrison potentially. James Conner out for the year. They're they're just kind of up against the wall, and it's in Green Bay. Yeah, I kind of just, if anything, I would take Green Bay money line or tease them a little bit, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty much all there is to that.
I agree. I see him winning, but I don't know by how much.
The last thing too, Green Bay's defense getting Micah Parsons just kind of underwhelming so far. Like,
It looked amazing, it totally beat up the Lions, and, really since week 1, it just hasn't
yeah, I
shown
think
much.
that was the week one jitters, just the week one rust. But
So, I don't know, maybe Micah Parsons starts, uh, hitting it. We'll see. Alright, and then we got the Commanders Cowboys. Commanders, -2.5, and, 2.5 here. We actually have 1.5, from FanDuel right now, but this is a big, I don't know, man. The over under 54.5. And it's like, wow, that is such a ridiculous number. But then you're like, oh, wait, the Cowboys are like, those games are like 60 and 70, they're just giving up, points left and right, but they're sticking with it because Dak looks like he's that good. So, um, I don't have a play. This is a NFC East rivalry game, and I could just, could see anything. Yeah, the Commanders are coming off that rough like Monday night loss. So I could see them winning, but I really don't have a tell on the game.
yeah, it's a weird game, especially after last night where the Commanders defense actually showed up. They're such a weird team to kind of analyze, especially on the defensive side of the ball. One week they're playing really good defense, they're shutting teams down, and then the next week they're giving up 30. So this feels like a week where they could give up a lot of points, but then there is that rivalry aspect where it's, usually in divisional games, teams play a little bit more defense, play a little bit harder, and there's less points. But I'd overall just stay away from it. Maybe if you're doing prop bets, throw some prop bets in there for Pickens to get at any
Just
time.
yeah, overs for anything. If you want to do Pickens over 150 yards,
Yeah, do a
he's
ladder.
killing
Do
it.
a ladder.
Do a ladder. Yeah, if you wanted to do was that Bill Krosky Merritt for over 200 yards, it seems to be something that the Cowboys give up. Next
Yeah.
up,
If
uh,
Rico Dowdle can do it, why couldn't he?
yeah, Falcons at 49ers. Falcons -3 and 49ers -3.5. They are coming off of rough loss. Of course, hey, Baker does that to you, but it looks like they're at least getting a return to practice for Ricky Pearsall, Brock Purdy, and George Kittle. So this is a tough one. We love the 49ers over here. I got to tell you, nothing hits harder than that Fred Warner injury. It's rough to see. So dislocated and broken ankle. If you watch it, it looks bad. It doesn't look as bad as Dak Prescott's ankle, but it looked just as bad as Chris Godwin's. So he's got a long road to recovery. He's done for the year for sure. But they're already missing Joey Bosa on that defense. Their secondary wasn't necessarily a strength prior to the year, and then man, they've had all these injuries on offense. Ironically, the only one who's not getting hurt out there is Christian McCaffrey. But they're bouncing back. They get the Falcons, who are coming off of their most impressive win of the year. So interesting. I want to see the 49ers kind of put it all back together before we see. I think we could see a lot of overs from the 49ers kind of moving forward if they don't have a pass rush and they don't have somebody stopping the run up the middle.
Yeah. It feels like a game where, you're missing your best linebacker, the guy that's leading the defense. Could see the Falcons just, they've been pretty good offensively, unless it's Carolina. So they they could have a big week offensively. This is kind of the one game for me. I was like, fantasy wise and prop bet wise, I'm like, this could be really a really really good game on both sides of both teams. I would just kind of look at playing playing somebody on either team. Like this is this could be a really high offensive game. I don't know necessarily about the scoring. Could see maybe some, field goals being kicked in this one, but yeah, it's gonna be a good game to watch at least.
Yep. Couldn't agree more there. So moving on to my hey, I want to watch this game of the week. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Lions, Lions minus 4.5. So this is just a classic. You have the Lions, it's just a good team. They're coming home. Jared Goff loves playing at home. Their offense is full tuned. Now, yes, when they can't run the ball, their offense gets limited. I don't think that that's going to be the case. Yes, the Packers do have a good run defense. Vita Vea does look good, but I think that Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery are just better. That's all there is there. But also, uh, just from an injury standpoint, this Buccaneers offense it's just eventually going to catch up with them. They've already ruled out Bucky Irving. They've already ruled out Chris Godwin. And Emeka Buka had an MRI on Monday. If you're having an MRI on Monday, you are not anticipating playing this weekend. They might get Mike Evans back. He also is coming off of a hamstring. He's not going to be at 100%. Yes, he can beat some backup DBs that the Lions have. And oh man, did you see that fight at the end of the Lions Chiefs game?
It's so stupid.
Like what's his name? Branch for the Lions just completely destroys Juju Smith-Schuster of all people.
He flopped though.
He hit like a bloody mouth after.
It looked like he flopped. Like I don't know. Juju Smith to me, like he's just so soft, man.
Well, I mean, you're just saying good game to people afterwards. It's not like they're trying to you're not trying to get a penalty.
Yeah.
But anyways, they got him ejected for this week, which they didn't need any, issues missing anyone in the secondary. They're already down. I think they're down their first it was like 4 or 5 cornerbacks that
Yeah,
started.
I'm sure Dan Campbell's real happy with him.
Yeah, but besides that, I just think these Buccaneers injuries, you can't. So yeah, was it Tez Johnson and Caleb something or another, or Cam Johnson or whoever's they're throwing the ball to. You can't do that against like a Super Bowl or championship caliber team like the Lions. Like they're just too good. I see that the Lions, I think they're just going to take over this game. I don't know how much. I think the Lions are going to go over however many points they're scoring. I'm not sure how much the Buccaneers are scoring, but that's why I think it'll be a good game. I think that the Lions are going to comfortably win it, though.
Yeah. Now that I look at the over, I'm still taking the over just cause, but it is a little bit scarier just in terms of like if Ibuka plays, then I'm feeling more comfortable about it. But the last time I think these two teams played was in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and it was an absolute shootout.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Buccaneers look good. Yeah.
I don't. The Lions' defense is just so bad, and I know it's at home, but I could still see Tampa. Baker's got that dog in him. He'll still put some points out there. So I'm just going strictly off Baker's a dog. He's going to put some points up. The Lions are going to put some points up. Give me an over.
If the season ended today, he would be MVP, so betting on him. Yeah, I get it. All right. And then I love it. The Monday night 10 o'clock game, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. We have the Texans and Seahawks -3. So, or -3.5. I'm sorry. So, Anthony, tell me why you have the Texans.
Well, I'm kind of going off my rule of you're coming off a bye week. Hold on, I got some weird commercial playing off ESPN. Yeah, they're coming off a bye week. It's kind of a must-win game for the Texans, it feels like, if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. I feel like right now they need to win games. And Seattle's just not a team that impresses me too much. They're a solid team overall, but I don't know. It's just they they seem to fumble the bag on the goal line a lot. And, like the run game is good, but I don't know. I think the Texans need this game bad, and coming off a bye week, some good rest. I could see them having a good game. I think CJ Stroud kind of needs to prove himself, and this is a big game for them. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Getting 3 points, they're going to keep it close. Seattle really doesn't. They don't really beat teams by too much. So I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like the Texans in this one.
Mhm. I do agree that I mean, their defense is better. I think that the offense is kind of just started going. Nico Collins hasn't looked super, great yet, but just the longer they have like this offensive line together, if it can get a little bit better, they get a little bit of a run game. It turns out that they're in a tougher division as the Jaguars look good, and then so obviously do the Colts. So uh, no, I mean I think they can get it going. We'll see what they do, but I think it's going to be behind their defense. So
Yeah.
I agree. I like them getting the points here. And oddly enough, Seattle's one of the weird teams that just does worse at home instead of like away. They travel a little bit better. They're often, I mean, they did look pretty good against the Jaguars this past week, but we'll see if they can keep it going there. So um, there, we hit all the games. Look at that. Um, for the games we like for DFS stacking. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but tell me why you like the was it the 49ers Falcons game?
Yeah, I mean, I just after that week that we saw from the Falcons, um, I know they can kind of be hit or miss sometimes on offense, but it feels like the offense is getting rolling. Bijan is just he's a beast, man. Give him the ball, he's gonna tear it up. And Drake London got it going. It might be a Kyle Pitts game this week. You never know with this Falcons offense, but to me, they're gonna try to put up points, and with that San Fran defense being kind of weak, yeah, I could see them putting up some points. So fantasy wise, I like them, and San Fran, you can't go wrong with CMC. CMC is going to be a big focal point of that offense. Hall's coming back, I guess, and he's pretty damn good when he's playing. And then if they get Kittle back, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of
Man,
offense in that game. It feels like with
yeah,
the way the defenses are kind of dinged up, and the Falcons' defense is just they're they're hit or miss, and San Fran's offense, you know how Kyle Shanahan does, even with Mac Jones over there, they still put up points. So it's
yeah.
kind of why I like that game.
Let me tell you, man, love me some George Kittle. Dude's a monster out there. Uh, Guy, elite pass blocker and pass catcher, or run blocker and pass
Yeah,
catcher.
and
Love it.
he's gonna have to step up with Fred Warner out. I know it's a different
Put
side of the
him at
ball,
linebacker.
but he is a guy that leads the locker room. With Warner out, I expect Kittle to juice up that team, get that team going.
Love it. Completely agree. All right. So, oh, I didn't even mention. Yeah, my best bet. Uh, I had the Saints on here, but I'm going with the Lions over Baker Mayfield, the minus 5.5. Um, we did it. We got through everything. I'm sure Phil misses us. He gets to chop up all these this video now. But Anthony, thank you for having the great return to the podcast. I know you only did it because you had to get some redemption for your singular loss in fantasy.
Bullcrap. Just unlucky, man. Just unlucky.
All right, but that's it. Oh wait, Phil always says you got to like and subscribe, and we are still giving away a JJ Watt rookie card. Look right there, cool stuff. Ship it to you. But do that once we get to 100 subscribers. I'm sure we're probably at like 10,000 by now. But we got to get to 10,100. But hey, if you're still listening, you shouldn't be. But thanks for watching.
Congrats to Phil.
Yep. Congrats, Phil, Sarah, and Little Cooper.